So this is my paper on the potential loss of the human connection in regards to robot caregivers. Quick disclaimer before we start. I don't own any of the drawings. Originally, I did not come up with them. Just maybe how bad I drew them. For the purposes of this video, robots will be drawn in black. Oh, sorry. Humans are going to be drawn in black. Robots are going to be drawn in blue. So starting out with the movie Robot and Frank, the premise of this is Frank is an ex-con. His family doesn't have time for him. So they get this robot to take care of him, and he helps him eat healthier and pick up hobbies like gardening. And this is a rather realistic example of like a good kind of robot caregiver. But Frank doesn't really like the robot at all. He prefers human contact in general. More particularly, he prefers to go back to his like ex-con ways and steal a bunch of jewels from people. But even despite bonding over the robot with this as a helpy, he still locks him in closets to go hang out with his librarian friend, because he still prefers human contact because he needs the social and emotional connectedness. So the robots right now, they're kind of at a nursing assistant level. The biggest example is Ribba, looks like a bear. So you're either thinking of Pooh Bear, or you're thinking of Smokey the Bear, or you're thinking of a straight up grizzly bear, which isn't really that helpful to have a robot looking like a bear, especially if somebody is scared of bears. It might not go that well. There is also the possibility that someone in this room is thinking of Miley Cyrus with her bears. If you are, don't say it out loud. We'll just acknowledge it and we'll save face about it. Ribba, though, it actually called Robot for Interactive Body Assistance. It actually looks like this, and its whole role is to help caregivers in lifting people up from like beds if they're injured. And this helps the nursing assistants that are still there, because it takes the physical strain off, and it moves around on wheels to do that, or its position by the bed. But still, you're still not getting the human contact that is desperately needed. So using the example of Up, human contact in general, it affects the body's central nervous system. It has stress-reducing side effects, and it can impact mood. And so taking the case of Up, where Carl and Ellie are together and they're super happy, they have each other, but when Ellie goes away, then you see that Carl's behavior changes drastically, and he gets really sad. So a robot to try to fix this is called Pero. It's like a seal with really long eyelashes, and it's for dementia patients, and you like pet it, you treat it like a pet. At the same time, it can tell the difference between being hit and being petted, which I'm not sure how that works. I'm sure that there's like a clubbing joke in there, and I don't know if Pero cries or whimpers when it gets hit. But this brings up like ethics in terms of owning a robot. So what if a like robot gets resentful? Are we gonna have like a Terminator-esque situation? So going off the iRobot, there are 3 rules of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being, it must obey orders given to it by humans, and it must protect its existence as long as it doesn't conflict with anything else. So the robot in the movie is named Vicky, and Vicky comes up with law 0 is to protect humans even if it means destroying them. And Vicky kind of looks like a pin art kind of thing that you would stick your face into, which is kind of messed up. So she ends up turning human despite the rules. So in the film, there's Detective Spooner, who is Will Smith's character. He gets stuck underneath the ocean, and a robot ends up saving him instead of the young girl named Sarah, and which is something that we try to save younger humans. It's like common sense. But robots don't really have common sense. That they'll probably touch a fire if it's hot, because they're like, I can just get repaired. But case in point, human contact, it's needed. Thinking in the case of Genie, language is impacted. But some experts are saying that at this point, robots are affecting us, that we might even have a new race of humans called Homo technus, which would be a little bit crazy. And they might become more violent and aggressive Homo technus. So going off the example of Bicentennial Man, there's a little girl, she tells Robin Williams' character to jump out the window, which he does, and they try to make a joke out of it with the little sister going, "Oh, you too." She's the one from all the Pepsi commercials. And then we get into the shows. Is there going to be like a people for the ethical treatment of robots? But robots used in therapy, going back to human connection, if they can do it, there's attachment issues. Like, if the robot is broken, that kind of ruins the whole aspect of therapy. But an example of a good alternative to the robots is this village in the Netherlands where everybody's they have dementia and they all just kind of live there and they do run their normal lives, and there's health people there to help them out. A robot it makes sense then to have a robot with emotions, and a robot of this is called Kismet, and people will supposedly speak to it in Mother Knees, which is "Oh, you're so cute," stuff like that. So it looks like a combination between a Furby and Gizmo from Gremlins, except its face skin is kind of ripped off, so I don't think it's honestly that cute. It kind of looks really disturbing because it's just a mouth and these big ears, and it's kind of just really creepy. So going back to Bicentennial Man, Andrew, he decides he wants to become human, which is another possibility that could happen if you have a robot caregiver. They get so attached, they'll fall in love with regular humans and they just want to be human. And then they could get resentful, which could be another, again, Terminator situation. So nobody wins. In terms of, according to Robert and Linda Sparrow, robots taking care of senior citizens don't really work because senior citizens don't really trust robots. Not only that, but on the other age spectrum, robots they understand crying, but it's a long, complicated formula that by the time you get it, they have no idea what to do. They just understand that crying is happening. A real human can't figure out a baby crying, so how can a robot figure it out? So going back to Robot and Frank, at the end, despite them becoming sort of friends, unless you have a robot from Robot Frank and Bicentennial Man, you'll have a good robot, but otherwise it's not really going to work. So robot caregivers overall, they're not really doing good for human connections. And that's it, so thanks for watching.